Page, Plasma 1, Bomani Jones, batting 2, Pablo Estori, Jackie McMullen. Hello, Jackie. Hello, everybody. Today, what? Who? Rob what?
Are you so
Look
mad?
where? Everything from the game that had everything. Also, wizards and jesters, king and goats, and the game 7 that might lead to a border war. Let's do this.
Welcome to Around the Horn. Here's Tony Reali.
Welcome back around. Wouldn't want to be you people today. Wouldn't want to be you people any day. Gonna have to make sense of the senseless ending of Thunder Clippers. You guys ready? Well, let's go.
It's the first word.
Let's bounce around a little bit here. It was Paul losing his game late. It was Durant finding his game late. Westbrook's worst shot imaginable. Paul's worst contest imaginable. Clutch free throws, no look. Final possession, no shot, no call, no nothing. But before that, and in the middle of all the other stuff, the moment Doc Rivers called series defining while pounding the table, the review right here and the rule right here, which you guys can tell me if it applies or not. Player's hand hit while in contact with the ball, forcing it to go out. Player retains possession. Fouled on his left, not called. Ball off his right, but was the left in contact with the ball? Woody, were you okay with how all this played out?
No, not at all. I don't know how anybody could be happy on either side how it was played out, but you can't preordain events. And everybody talks about Chris Paul and the mistakes he made at the end. If the referees make either of the right calls in that situation, it goes a totally different direction. So they either have to call the foul, which they should have done, or they should have made the correct call and given the Clippers the ball. They made a mistake in both ways. As a result, that game went in all sorts of weird sorts of endings, and it wouldn't have happened that way if the referees. So I don't
you think
blame
the referees should have either made the foul call, which they didn't make, or when they reviewed it, changed the call?
They got both of them wrong, Tony.
Bomani Jones, you agree?
The Clippers blew a 13-point lead in 4 minutes. The refs did not do their best work, but ain't nobody. If they got robbed, it's because they left the front door open for somebody to come in and take their stuff. And that's really what wound up happening to the Clippers. And I think that Doc Rivers knows that because he protested so much about the refs in a way that really wasn't common. It didn't feel manipulative necessarily, but it felt like he was avoiding the real, which is he's got probably the best clutch basketball player in the NBA, who's Chris Paul, and he just let him down in that game. It was turnover after turnover. That ridiculous decision to try to play for like the and one call when he got the ball taken from him in the backcourt. That stuff falls on a guy that's too big and too good for us to put this all on the referee.
So then, Doc, at the podium after the game, you think he was trying to divert attention from Paul on some level?
I mean, he was fairly honest about the mistakes that Chris Paul made, but at the same time, Chris Paul doesn't seem like the kind of guy you can point the finger at in front of everybody.
Well, I would differ in that I think that he was manipulating the refs to the extent that he clearly wants a different officiating picture for Game 6. That said, in terms of how much outrage you could have some outrage if you're a Clippers fan about that out-of-bounds call. But the fact that Reggie Jackson should have been shooting free throws means that cosmic justice in some way was served, maybe even underserved if you're a Thunder fan. I think the Thunder really, I mean, Russell Westbrook dropped 38 on this game. Chris Paul soiled himself like we've never seen before. Lost in that 3-play series, was the fourth play in which he could have fouled Serge Ibaka and sent him to the line with at least a second left. This was on the Clippers, and the Clippers really got arguably lucky on it.
Jackie Mack?
Absolutely, Pablo. And when Doc Rivers was saying this was a defining series, what he was really saying is, if I do this, you'll forget about Chris Paul.
My biological clock is ticking like this.
That's exactly correct. And you know, Durant made a good point. He did say, you know, lost in all this, you guys are forgetting the shots we made. And Durant, after a horrendous game, made 2 huge shots down the end of the game. And really what matters in the final minutes is this. 3 turnovers for the Clippers, 0 for Oklahoma City. I think about Chris Paul, and you know what? I know this was a long time ago, but it reminded me a little bit of all the way back to 1984 when Magic Johnson against the Celtics missed those free throws and, remember, dribbled the clock out without getting a shot off. It was not a defining moment in Magic's career. It did not define him. What it did was make him go home hungrier and make him come back better.
Let's go back to Woody Page, though, and the play specifically, and Doc Rivers saying, let's just take away replay.
Well, that's a mistake, and he knows it. He realizes it. He's been aided by replay. What's happened during the playoffs, though, that he got the call in that previous series with Golden State it didn't go his way, and it didn't go his way this time. But, of course, we all want instant replay to get it right. It's not going to be 100% of the time, though.
No, I think this replay system needs to get better, and I'm tired of the way we have all these interruptions because the refs want to go check every single thing. This replay system is not good enough that we have.
This replay system is basically a carbon copy on some level of the NFL system, right, without the challenge flag, all things considered. Can basketball work in a system like the NFL has? A game with 100 possessions per game, Pablo?
Well, I think there are two paths. One, you choose entertainment value, and you basically become a basketball hedonist. You say, I don't want interruptions, I want entertainment, no replay. But if you value fairness, and I think I still do, then maybe you do a thing where if there's no action after the call, you can review things like missed fouls. You can sort of get it in between there.
You know, if you want to get it exactly right, then you have to add another thing to the replay pot, and that would be if there's a foul and you didn't call it, you should be able to replay it and check for that.
Take that play out of it, okay? We have Westbrook shooting that three with 6 seconds left. We have the foul on the play by Paul. Did anybody think Paul was fouled in the last play of the game? He lost possession there. Didn't seem like he knew where he was going, but no foul call.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought
The pass was going nowhere.
Take a deep breath. We move on to what the Wizards and Marcin Gortat did to the Pacers last night. They dropped commandments on them. They parted the sea. I'm saying that Gortat was the first Washington player since Moses to go 30-15. Indiana got out-rebounded 62-23 in a closeout game at home, Jackie. What? How concerning is that?
Concerning. I feel like I say this every time I'm on the show. It's concerning yet again. And yet why do I think they're going to come back in Game 7 and win? Because nothing from this game suggests they should be able to do it. Game 6, excuse me. What they're all about is defense. And how do you let Marcin Gortat turn into something that we're now comparing to vintage Lou Alcindor, for crying out loud? And that's what happened in that game. And I'll tell you what else. You can mark off all the guys that didn't get rebounds, and you can talk about Roy Hibbert not scoring. But defense is what got them here, and defense is what let them down. John Wall on jump shots in Game 5 shot almost 53%. Previously, Games 1 through 4, he was shooting around 20 to 30%. That's a huge difference. That's somebody that's not playing good enough defense.
Well, I unfortunately am not as surprised as maybe other people are here, because if you watch this team long enough, they're as liable to blow someone out as to get blown out. That's been the MO of the Pacers, for better and for worse, since the second half of the season. That said, this game was about being out-efforted, being out-hustled. This was about the Pacers getting outworked. Marcin Gortat had more rebounds than the entire Pacers team when he left early in the fourth quarter. They were out-rebounded 62-23. They had about 60 points in the game 2 games ago, the Wizards did. So this, to me, is about effort, stats, and the fact that the Wizards just wanted it that much more. That's how embarrassing it was.
Gortat more rebounds than the entire team. He's got more pronunciations of his first name than anybody else right now from our panel. Bomani, get in there.
I've never seen a rebounding disparity like that before, especially now when one of the teams has somebody who's 7'2", 280 pounds. That's crazy. But Jackie's right. Defense is what got them there, but the holdup for them has always been offense. They struggle to score at times. When we strip away all the narrative and everything else, the Pacers are a team that doesn't have anyone that you could really point to and say, go get us buckets over and over again. Paul George could do it from time to time, but what you saw is they're a team that is good to every now and then give up 70-something, score 70-something points. I will say this, though. If at any point you looked at the Pacers in those last 2 games and thought, oh, well, they've come around, they got down to Washington by 19 in the game before this. They are not back because they're always going to be this inconsistent ragtag outfit they are.
Well, Bomani is absolutely right. We haven't seen anything from the Pacers throughout the 2 playoff series that would prove that they were the #1 seed, that they were going to give the Heat any kind of match if they finally get to the conference finals. That's number 1. And number 2, they quit. They quit. This is a team that is the #1 seed, and they just quit in the game. Yeah, they're being out-rebounded. They're letting John Walls make jumpers, but they quit in the game. If you're watching that in the fourth quarter, that's a team that doesn't deserve to advance from this series. They probably will, because they are up and down, and the Wizards are just as crazy as they are in terms of how they play the game.
Pablo and then Jack.
Well, I think the Pacers are still the second-best team in the East. The bigger concern is they've lost 4 of 7 at home after spending the entire year trying to get home court advantage. That's troubling.
So second-best team in the East, what's that going to get you? You know what's waiting in Miami. I mean, it's a disaster for Indiana this way.
Jones 12, Torrey 12, McMullen 10, Page 8. We've been horned. We're taking a break. Buy or sell next. And coming up, Dre wants to avoid the Sacco with Houston again. And King, the Kid, Disco Dan.
Ooh, look at that jacket.
Everything from last night's Game 7. Stick around.
The pants are the same?
Buy or sell.
Jones to Torrey 12, McMullen 10, Page 8, and the New York Rangers moving on. Lundqvist, the king. A power play goal and a 1-3 series comeback. Meanwhile, the Penguins, an endangered species. Dejan Kovacevic of the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review says he expects the team to make seismic changes. Everybody thinks that'll start with Bylsma and the coaching, but what if Sidney Crosby and his 1 goal in 13 postseason games this year? Woody, outcome about the Rangers or Penguins to you?
It's popular to talk about the march of the Penguins to losing, but it was about the Rangers and a goaltender who set a record that in all the years of the NHL of having 5 Game 7s with 1 goal or 0 goals. I think that was incredible the way he shut down Crosby and Malkin, and I love that the Rangers are there now.
Yes, and Woody, everything you're saying is making perfect sense, but in the words of the great philosopher Cleo McDowell, this is America, Jack, and in America, when the purported best player in your game has 1 goal in 13 postseason games, make that 1 in 18 going back to last year, that's who you look at.
Well, and it's not just the goals. Crosby was with 0 points in those 3 games where the Rangers made their comeback. But to me, Lundqvist, who's the MVP of the New York sports scene, in 10-2 in elimination games, 1.32 goals against average. He does this whenever his back's against him.
McMullen.
You know what? Lundqvist was fabulous. We knew he was a better goalie than Fleury. This isn't even a surprise to me that the New York Rangers have eliminated the Pittsburgh Penguins. They used the same style the Bruins did last year, that physical, grind-them-down style to take care of the finesse players that are the Pittsburgh Penguins. Brad Richards, great leadership after Brian Callahan was traded. Everybody wondered who fills in the void. Right. It's Richard.
Roger Mason on Jim Rome. Showtime tonight at 9. Roll it.
I was just in the locker room 3-4 days ago. LeBron and I talked about it. He ain't playing if Sterling is still an owner.
Bomani, what are you buying? What are you selling from that?
Well, I buy that LeBron probably said that, and I think he's too calculating to have said that to Roger Mason if he didn't mind it getting out, unless he would have told him, no, that's not going to happen. The one thing, though, it's hard to see something like that happening, not as an insult to LeBron James, but that would be a Muhammad Ali-type move that we all thought we wouldn't see again.
Well, I agree with the significance and the import of that political protest in sports world sort of move. However, it's also a move that I don't think would be met with much public backlash. I think the marketplace would probably reward LeBron, the public would. This is one of those instances where being political.
You don't think there's risk there
work.
for LeBron James?
I don't think there is. I think everybody would understand why.
Jackie, what do you think of that?
Well, I think it all depends. We all know this is going to take a long time, and if there's reasonable steps being taken to remove Sterling, why would you boycott that? If the guy's on his way out and they're doing due process, I don't understand why LeBron or anybody would risk having a work stoppage if the right steps are being taken.
Woody.
Jackie's absolutely correct. That this process is going to take a great deal of time before it plays out. We don't know whether it's going to take 1.5 years, 2 years. I don't know how you can speed it up. I don't know how the players can say, we're not going to play next year, as long as they know that the process will eventually turn out the way it's supposed to.
How could they know that, right? I mean, the position that puts the Clippers franchise in them this offseason, Doc Rivers, and the claims he's made that he wouldn't coach for a team around Sterling and the players who would sign via free agency. Andre Johnson, wondering aloud to the Houston Chronicle, is this still the place I want to be? New coach doesn't want to play for a team in rebuilding mode. Said new coach Bill O'Brien says the two have talked, and he told Johnson he thinks this year's Texans can be last year's Chiefs. Told Ed Word or so. Fires told Johnson, putting it out there, though, Pablo, that he might not want to be on a rebuilder.
I'm going to buy it because, first off, this is sort of standard practice for a wide receiver in the NFL, but particularly for Andre Johnson, who's been in that city for over a decade and can hear the window on his career closing basically every passing day. So to me, he has no other options. Try and put it out there in the public. Try and get leverage.
I agree with you saying, and the fact that Dwayne Bowe makes more money than him is enough for us all to scratch our heads about. But the reason I'm selling it is because guess who negotiated Andre's contract in 2007 and now has been added onto it? Andre Johnson. You should have had an agent. You should have had a better contract. A lot of this is on you.
I'm also selling it. Did he not study the draft? They got the #1 pick. They got a great guy that's going to help that defense. I think with a new coach and new philosophy there, that this is going to be a better team. He should have waited and before he made.
Do you think they can be like the Chiefs were last year, from the #1 pick to a team in the playoffs?
Sure, we're seeing turnarounds every year in the NFL. I think it could happen.
Yeah, that team doesn't have as much talent as people think. I'm going to buy what Andre's saying, Jackie. I don't know what contract he could have signed that would have changed the fact that he's now going into year 12 of his career, and he now looks around, and he's going to have to start all over again. And starting all over again with the head coach who might not be his own cup of tea. A guy his age with an abrasive coach like O'Brien, let's see how that works out.
You think it's a little too rah-rah for Andre Johnson?
Yeah, look, Andre's a little old for some of that, you know?
Not enough Alex Smith in that.
Jones 19, Torrey 18. Watch yourself, Pablo. McMullen 17, page 15. What's the last word, Woody?
I think we should go to the replay. That eliminated me one day. I think I could bring you back today.
All right, lightning rounds next. Bo, Bob, Jackie. Coming up, Buster's Matador tag. Whoop. And Larry King's blazing sports take. Marijuana in the NFL. You bogart and you're in trouble, kid. Hello. I once bogarted with Angie Dickinson. What? Wow. We got Jones at 19, Torrey at 18, McMullen at 17 in a trial by combat in the lightning round. When Larry King's tweeting it, you know it's crossed over to hot sports takes, hot sports tokes. Mary Jane, you're on. NFL close to tweaking the drug policy to increase the threshold to reduce punishments for marijuana violations. Should this apply to players who are currently facing punishment reportedly, like Josh Gordon and Will Hilbomani?
Well, no, I don't think it should. Let's not forget, the Seattle Seahawks had a whole lot of guys get caught in this situation in a state where the use of this drug was legal, isn't it? You can't go back and change that for them. I think it would be wrong to go ahead and decide just because now they found Jesus and realized that the World Anti-Doping Association had long ago changed their threshold that the NFL should do the same.
For a victimless crime, it would be very nice to see these sentences commuted. They're not performance-enhancing drugs. Alcohol, which is arguably worse, is everywhere in the NFL. And if there's any class of people, of athletes, that could use the effects, it certainly would be NFL.
So you think these sentences could be commuted here?
You would argue could and should, yes.
Mm-hmm. Jackie, how about you?
You know, but the fact remains, Pablo, the rules were in effect when they broke the rules, and you can't say, this is a victimless crime, please let me go. That's not how it works. They knew what the rules were. They broke them anyway. I think you pay the consequence for that.
Baseball now. Buster Posey's tag, or lack thereof, in last night's play at the plate, where they had Hayward by about 10 feet. Bruce Bochy called it just a misplay on Buster's part. Hayward got creative with the slot. You agree with that, or are you saying it's something more because of Posey's history with collisions, Pablo?
Well, I think his injury history clearly plays a role, and he was pretty close to actually tagging him out. But to me, this is one of those things where baseball's 162 games. It isn't going to happen every time. The cost-benefit analysis would much rather protect Buster Posey than have him lay out in front of a play like that.
Yeah, I think it does. His past history has something to do with it, and I don't blame him. It makes me a little sad to see that because he is one of the greatest baseball catchers in the game right now. But I can understand why he has that reaction, and as Pablo says, it's not like it's going to happen.
Jones.
Well, I think he just missed the tag, and you look at it, he seems very intent on making sure to keep that second hand on the ball so it doesn't fly out of that catcher's mitt. But with everybody else, if he did have an adverse reaction to somebody barreling down on him, I mean, what do you expect? We see guys in the NFL who have injuries that come in situations like that. It sticks with them for a while. You can't expect that to disappear overnight.
Jones 22, Torrey 21, McMullen 20 points. Usually enough to get to the showdown. Not today, Jackie. What's the last word?
I think I missed the tag. I went high when I should have gone low.
Have a good one, Jack. It'll be Bo and Blow in showdown. 2 enter, only 1 will leave. And straight ahead, 1 if by land, 2 if by ice.
So tall.
Chances we're at war with Canada by 11 o'clock tonight. The reoccupation of Montreal. Next. All right, here we go in showdown. 2 quick ones and then 30 seconds of FaceTime. Bomani Jones, Pablo Astori. You ready? Let's go. PK Subban's proclamation that he can't wait for the crowd, the noise, the energy in Boston tonight so he can take it all away from them. You think he'll live to regret that? Tonight's Game 7, Bo?
Let me tell you, what could he have possibly said being that man in that series that would have endeared him to the Boston crowd? He's PK Subban. They were going to be mad at him no matter what. He could have gone out there and said that Bill Russell's the worst basketball player of all time.
Look,
and they'd be
it's
mad
not
at him
as
the
if
same
they're going to not squirt him in the face because that already happened with the water on the ice. The fact is, Boston's already going to go hard on him. It's not like there's anything he could have done.
Okay.
Totally agree with that.
And who do you got in the game, Pablo? Bo?
I have the Canadians.
I got the Canadians.
Writing this
Make more
down.
people mad.
So the circles that I talk hockey with, now I know who you guys picked. Be prepared to lose that point tomorrow should something else happen. Showdown 2, Major League Baseball changing the official ruling here 5 days after the fact. After David Ortiz asked them to take another look at it. Originally an error, now a hit. This was originally the one-hitter for you, Darvish. Now a two-hitter, imperfecto, more imperfecto. Pablo, what do you make of this?
Well, here's my problem with this. He says that he wouldn't have made the appeal if the no-hitter was intact. Have the courage of your convictions, David Ortiz. If you think it's a hit, then go appeal that regardless of what it is. I'm all for continuity of facts.
No,
here.
but it's bad form in baseball to try to mess up somebody's no-hitter. He's following the code, of course, of that one. Buddy, you go to bat 500 times, and now you're going to try to take this one hit. I know you're trying to get your money in free agency, but come on.
Well, Monty, that was like a modified Dikembe that you were doing right there. But you held it so low. If you're going to do the Mutombo, you got to go full Mutombo. Point, game, Pablo Astori. Always go full
How about
Mutombo.
that full Mutombo? We've been talking about graduation speeches in the world of sports. There was this controversy with Eric LeGrand at Rutgers where he wasn't asked, then one asked, and finally was, and I'm looking forward to hearing him speak. However, in terms of starting from scratch, you always want to go with somebody funny. I'm somebody who fell asleep when Bill Clinton and Bill Gates were addressing my commencement class during graduation. I'm not proud of it, but if it was somebody who was entertaining with a sense of humor, that's kind of what you want. So for me, in terms of the world of sports, there's one name that comes to mind. Some schools should invite Rasheed Wallace, please. Sheed as graduation speaker. That would solve all of our problems.
Sheed as graduation speaker. Okay. All right. I thought you were going to nominate yourself.
No, Rasheed Wallace, down don't lie.
And look at Bomani.
I got more Mutombo
That's like
for
a
you.
palm
Who wants
tree.
to love Bomani tonight? There's your Mutombo.
That's going to do it, folks. The 23.5-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow. And also, we'll see you never.
That's what
Bentley and
I'm
Turk.
club on
Thank you for a
before
great
Mutombo.
spring.
I want Mutombo for coming.